All right, it is rookie draft season.
That's right, baby.
Everyone has their new homes,
Mm-hmm.
and now we get to decide where players should be going in these rookie drafts.
That's right.
And the risk reward based off of each pick. Today we are giving you 2 rookie draft sleepers to target each. All right, I got 2. Badake has 2. All these players will be available in the 3rd and 4th rounds. So we wanted to give you guys players that in those late rounds we feel like should be valued a little bit higher, or we might be willing to take a shot on. So I will go first. My first player, I know Green Bay. I know Aaron Rodgers got a weapon, if you will, in Christian Watson.
Right.
But there's still a lot of opportunities for any wide receiver to step up. And one that they drafted in the 4th round, I think there's some potential there, and that is Romeo Doubs.
Romeo Doubs, baby.
And he was drafted in the 4th round of the real NFL draft. Now, his current rookie ADP is the 409. Now, ADP is going to be very sporadic, not going to be as accurate as possible, but typically Romeo Doubs in rookie drafts is going either mid to late 4th round or undrafted. So this is a player that you should be able to grab at the beginning of the 4th round. Maybe if you're at the 412, you can move up to the 401. It will cost you probably nothing to do that, to grab him. Of course, his stock could rise in the next couple weeks, but where I currently would draft him is the 304. I mean, that's as high as I'm willing to take a shot on a guy like Romeo Doubs. So early to mid 3rd, late 3rd, if I have a pick in that area, I'm willing to take a shot on a guy like Romeo Doubs. Now, of course, it always depends on what players are available, what players are on the board. But let's talk about why there's some upside for Romeo Doubs here in the Green Bay offense. Out of Nevada, let's talk about what he did in college. Broke a lot of records over there with Carson Strong. I mean, that duo of Carson Strong and Romeo Doubs was dynamic, all right? Multiple years of production. This isn't a player that's coming out that had a one-year wonder. There are multiple years that we can point to where he was very productive. Let's look at it. In 2020, he had 58 receptions, over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, keeping in mind that they only played 9 games.
Yeah.
9 games, okay? In 2021, he had 80 receptions, over 1,100 yards, and 11 touchdowns in only 11 games. So my guy in the last 2 years is averaging a touchdown every single game. Production was never an issue for Romeo Doubs, okay? In that offense, that air raid offense over there in Nevada, he had a dominator rating of 27%, which that is a percentage of the team's offense through the air that he contributed to. So this is a player who is great at stretching the field, good body control, not currently an amazing route runner, but something that he can improve. And in my opinion, he's a more reliable pass catcher than what Christian Watson currently is.
Okay.
Now, this is not an anti-Christian Watson take, but it is hey, there might be an opportunity opening up here because Rodgers really needs some sort of consistency. And let's talk about that. There is a lack of solidified wide receivers on this team. To be honest, I know that they drafted Christian Watson in the 2nd round, but even he's going to have a bunch of opportunity, a bunch of targets, but there is no one really solidified at this point. All these wide receivers are going to be coming into camp with an opportunity to solidify a wide receiver 2 or 3 role behind Christian Watson. So, I mean, you even look at the tight end position. It's pretty bare. Let's look at the depth chart. You got Christian Watson, 2nd rounder. Then you got Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins, who should have retired a couple years ago, probably. Randall Cobb, the corpse of Cobb,
right,
and Amari Rodgers. So don't be surprised if Amari Rodgers emerges this year. Guy out of Clemson that was drafted last year. But there is such an opportunity here for Romeo Doubs to come and improve himself at camp. Christian Watson is by far the better athlete, okay, and the better prospect. However, I do like Romeo Doubs' ball skills more as we currently sit. So Watson's going to get a ton of opportunity, no doubt. And he's a better prospect, but with the history of the 3rd, 4th, 5th round wide receivers in Green Bay, with the history of what they've done with those wide receivers, I am more than willing to take a shot on him in the 3rd and 4th round. So I'm going to snatch him up 4th round. If I have the 306, I'm taking him, and I'll probably put him on my taxi squad this year. Someone who really interests me.
Okay. Romeo Doubs is a guy. He's very interesting. I think we're going to be talking about Doubs and Christian Watson just based on value. You know, if maybe you don't have the 108, 109, 1010, you're going to want to trade maybe up from one of these third-round picks, maybe to the top of the third, just to get Romeo Dubs, just because you believe in him, you believe in this offense.
If you believe in that. Yeah,
I think we're going to see that a
or
lot.
at least the upside, like the upside
Exactly.
risk reward based off of the pick. Yeah.
100%. All right, my first guy that I think you guys should snatch in these late round rookie
Love
drafts is Danny Gray.
I love it.
Let's just be honest. First of all, I wasn't expecting this. At least I wasn't. Number two, everything that's happening with Debo. But before we get into that, his current rookie ADP, I think he's going around the mid to late third right now, and I'm comfortable taking him around the 309, 308 area, just really depending on.
He's one of those super volatile players, by the way. I mean, in some mocks, he's not even being drafted.
Exactly.
In other mocks, he's in the fourth. He's in the late third. Like,
exactly.
So he's a very volatile player.
I'm happy to take a shot on him depending on how the board falls and how maybe you guys should take a shot on him in the mid to late third round. I'm comfortable taking him there. But once again, why is there upside with Danny Gray? And that's purely because of all this Debo Samuel talk. Okay, what's going to happen with Debo? Debo has already made a statement. He's already said it multiple times that he wants to get traded off of the 49ers, and they need to get somebody back into this. Whether they just trade him away without any, another player or just pick compensation, Danny Gray is going to be looking at a tremendous amount of targets. Okay, and let's really look at it, because once Debo Samuel leaves, it's just going to be Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, and obviously these running backs in the backfields. And if you really look at Danny Gray, he kind of has that Debo-X feel. If you watch his tape, if you watch what he did there, I think it kind of
makes sense why they made the pick. Hey?
Exactly. It makes sense. So, look, in 2021, he didn't have crazy stats, only 800 yards, 9 touchdowns, but he averaged 16.4 yards per catch, which means that he's going to be taking a lot of this workload, a lot of this bulk. They see him the way they saw Debo. You saw how Debo was in the middle of the field catching these balls, jet sweeps and everything. Danny Gray did that. He was doing that. Okay. And let's not forget, he is fast. He is a speedster. He ran the fourth fastest 40 in the NFL Combine. And I think this is why they like him, because of the speed. He can be, he's a big gadget player. He's 6 foot. But I think that's how they see him, kind of like the Debo Samuel-ish.
Right.
And let's not forget about Trey Lance. He's coming in. He has a tremendous arm. They need the speed. Brandon Ayuk, not saying that he doesn't have the speed, but he don't got the Debo speed, and he definitely don't got the Danny Gray speed. So put Danny Gray on the outside, move him around in the gadget slot. Why not take a shot on a guy that could be seeing a tremendous amount of targets moving in once Debo is officially out? When's that going to happen? We don't know. But why not take a shot late third to early fourth with some potential?
And the draft capital, he was drafted in the third round ahead of a lot of other wide receivers that we liked more. But
he wasn't even on. We didn't really do a draft scout. We were scouting all these rookies, and we saw him, and we was like, you know what?
We had to scout him after the pick. We were like, wait, who is this player?
Yeah, who is this guy?
Super intriguing, and it makes sense why they would draft him. Just to manage expectations. I don't think either of us are saying that any one of these players are actually going to even turn into viable flex
100%.
options. Okay. But there are at least pathways, or there are attributes that we like for these players. So my last player is Keontae Ingram.
Oh, okay.
In every one of our live streams pre-draft, there's a couple players that didn't get drafted. We would do live streams 4 times a week, rookie drafts, probably 2 months before the draft. And there's always a couple players that didn't get drafted, and I kept saying their name. It was Keontae Ingram. It was Kennedy Brooks, Kyle Phillips. I always said, I will just remind people, maybe these names are something that we should look at. Now, Keontae Ingram, the draft capital isn't great. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yesterday I did a breakdown of 5th round running backs, the history of 5th round running backs, for a Tyler Algier video, where I looked at the last decade and the success rate of a 5th round running back. Now we're talking about a 6th round running back. So the success rate is even lower.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a guy who typically is going undrafted. Okay. As it currently stands, he is going undrafted in most rookie drafts, or the last pick.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen. Now, there are certain scenarios where people are reaching for him, but the board, again, is so volatile at this point. I've seen him undrafted in a lot of scenarios in 5 round rookie drafts, I've seen him drafted in the 5th round. So I currently have him ranked as the 406. I have my Superflex rankings. Badake's working on his because he was away on his honeymoon. But I have my Superflex rankings available over on Patreon, where I can, in a 12-team league, I literally break down what I think each value pick is. So for me, the 406 is where I value him, middle of the 4th round. I think that is great value for a guy like Keontae Ingram. And let's discuss it. Let's talk about what he did in college. He was a 4-star recruit out of high school, went to Texas, spent a couple years in Texas, and it didn't really work out for him, okay?
Right.
So then he transferred to USC last season for the 2021 season. By the way, his first 3 years at Texas, he averaged 5.2 yards per carry. Once he transferred to USC, he lost a lot of weight, improved his agility, improved his twitch, improved his burst. He was very intentional with that before going to USC. So in 2021, he had over 1,000 all-purpose yards. On the ground, 5.8 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. So these stats aren't going to blow you away. Yeah. But you also have to keep in mind the context of this offense. This was a pass-happy offense, and really almost everything was running through Drake London. All right, so this was a pass-happy offense and also a running back by committee approach at USC. So with the touches that he was given, he was very efficient. And you could say that about his entire college career. He was efficient with every single touch that he was given. Now, he's got some pretty clear strengths, perfect build for a workhorse running back. This is a type of running back that can step in with the height and the weight ratio, can take a workload. He's got pretty good vision, plays strong in the open field, very difficult to take down, great lateral quickness, can avoid tacklers. There's definitely a lot of areas he needs to improve, but there's at least a package of skills that I can point to and say, this player could potentially be successful in the NFL. I keep, every year people, since James Robinson emerged, every year people would try and say, well, this could be this year's James Robinson.
Absolutely.
Don't think anyone really called Elijah Mitchell last year. No. And I want to be clear. I think James Robinson was more talented coming out. But if there is a situation where there's a running back that not many people are talking about, and there could be a pathway for him to be relevant, then I would say Keontae Ingram is that Hail Mary.
Right.
Now, there's less than 3% chance that happens, but he is the Hail Mary in my eyes. And because I think there is a pretty easy pathway to touches. I mean, if you look at this depth chart over there in Arizona, there's
no one there, bro.
It's not stacked. I mean, you got James Conner, then you got Eno Benjamin and Keontae Ingram. That is it. Those are the 3 guys competing right now. There are some Eno Benjamin truthers out there. He was drafted last year, or I believe in 2020, as a 7th round pick. So there's not a lot of capital invested into him. He's a smaller back, so I don't think he would be. If James Conner goes down, I don't imagine Eno Benjamin is the guy to step in and take that workload. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And let's talk about James Conner, because James Conner is the reason I see hope for Keontae Ingram. This is a running back, James Conner, who has had a pretty vast injury history in the NFL. In the last 3 seasons, James Conner has missed 16 games, 16 games in the past 3 seasons. Guys, that is an entire season. That's an entire season of games. That is 32.6% of his games that he has missed due to injury in that span. So if James Conner does miss time, Keontae Ingram, with his build, with what he has shown us on film, to me seems like the most obvious step-in starter. Now, if James Conner goes down, could they sign a veteran running back? Of course. I mean, that happens. But in my opinion, it would probably be Keontae Ingram's job to win over Eno Benjamin. So for as long as James Conner misses time, you could see Keontae Ingram being a very viable flex or a plug-and-play guy. So if I have James Conner, by the way, I really want Keontae Ingram this year because I assume I'm a win-now team if James Conner is on my team. So
I agree.
Definitely a guy that intrigues me, and I like the landing spot. I think there's a really clear path here to opportunities potentially.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love Keontae Ingram. Let me just say this: 116 vacant targets. That's what Chase Edmonds is leaving behind. I don't think that's going to Eno Benjamin at all. So I love Keontae Ingram. The last and final guy that I believe you guys should be targeting in your rookie your rookie drafts, the guy I love, I've always been talking about him. That's Velus Jones Jr. going to the Chicago Bears. I mean,
25-year-old rookie.
25-year-old rookie. What an opportunity for this guy. Yeah. Look, he's going in the 4th round. Our latest mock draft we did, I took him, I think, at the 4-3 or the 4-2, if I'm not mistaken. And I know, according to Zach, since I've been away, he's sometimes been going undrafted still. So,
yeah, there's been moments where he's been going undrafted.
Mm-hmm. I think there's great.
Again, ADP is real spotty right now, but
exactly.
Yeah, there's been moments.
I'm comfortable taking him as high as a 3-6, depending on how the board falls and everything. And once again, this all depends on how the board falls. But I've always loved Velus Jones Jr. Let's look at what he did in college. He was 3-star recruit. He went from USC. He started USC in 2016, then transferred to Tennessee in 2019. The 25-year-old rookie. He did that 5-year college thing because of COVID. And look, he was in USC, which means that they believed in him and he had some talent, but he was overshadowed by Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra, Drake London, all these guys. So obviously that's why he moved to Tennessee to get some more opportunity. 807 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaging 13 yards per catch. The guy knows how to get it done, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And look, the stats never jump out to you, but when you watch him on film, another guy when you watch him on film, he is fast. He's electric. He is a do-it-all guy. Yeah. He's a gadget. He can be playing in the backfield, jet sweeps. He's on the outside. He's
not so small where it feels like, man, he's only going to be a punt returner.
Exactly, exactly. And then he gets drafted by the Chicago Bears. And look, it's a little bit disappointing because
in the 3rd round too. Yeah, what the heck?
Yes, exactly. It's a little bit disappointing for the Justin Fields aspect. Personally, not for Velus Jones, but just in Justin Fields, because you were expecting them to get a George Pickens, a Sky Moore, somebody different, not Velus. But Velus is the guy, okay? With Allen Robinson out, I mean, the guy was averaging 150 targets per year. Obviously, besides last year, he was injured throughout the whole year. That's 150 vacant targets. I think that's going to be spread out between everyone, distributed evenly. Let's look at who's on the team. Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Bryven Pringle, and then Velus Jones, okay? It's Mooney on the outside, it's Pringle on the other side, and Velus in the slot.
I think Pringle might have been arrested for, and I don't want to misspeak. So keep going, and I will look this up.
Okay, yeah, let me know. Look, I'm comfortable with Velus. Why not take a shot on him? And even I know maybe people are saying, you know what, maybe he's a 1-year thing. But even then, if they do draft an XY receiver in the 2023 draft, Mooney's still on the other side. And then Velus was going to be in the slot, in my personal opinion. Pringle's not a guy that I'm worried about at all. He's not the long-term answer. Velus is a 3rd-round draft pick compensation. I mean, there is some value there. They are believing in him. They have a plan for him. Okay, once again, he is a gadget guy that I will not be surprised you see him in jet sweeps. You see him in the backfield. They're going to get really creative because Justin Fields is a mobile quarterback. So not saying that he doesn't need an XY receiver, but this offense is going to be creative. Okay, and another thing I want to remind you, Velus Jones Jr. ran the 2nd fastest 40 in the NFL Combine. The guy is fast, okay? There is some value. There's some opportunity. He could be a good flex option, plug and play, maybe at some point, maybe week 5, 6, 7, along those lines. I feel really confident in investing in Velus Jones Jr.
Yeah, just to clarify, he wasn't arrested. I don't know where I don't want to misspeak or anything. There was something about Byron that I saw. Maybe it was a different player and I'm misspeaking, so I don't want to misspeak. But anyway, he will be there. So Byron's going to be there, but there's going to be plenty of competition for Byron with Velus. And keep in mind, Darnell Mooney was a 5th-round pick. So, I mean, it's not as if this team hasn't been able to historically draft wide receivers. But, yeah, I like Velus. Interesting guy. So those are our rookie sleepers. Comment down below. Let us know what you think of these.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.